By pressing play, you've been transported to a dimension where there will be no apologies given for the abstract and asinine comments made here by the host and their guests. With that being said, thank you for listening and enjoy your experience.
We are magical.
We are Freeman.
Are you ready?
For episode 32 of the most ridiculously random pop culture podcast in the 719.
Yo, where the captions at?
Yo, baby, skip shaboopy bat, baby. Where are the captions at? Do what dee doo 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 doo. Where are the captions at? Shaboopy doo boop bop dee doo doo boom ba boom. Yeah, y'all, we back again, baby. It's another Friday, y'all. Because Friday when these come out, so when you're listening, you should be listening on a day of release. So that's why I'm saying Friday to all those out there listeners. But for all the captioners out there, you already know what it is. I'm yours truly, Kels for Show, a.k.a. Jiggin' No Booin'. Joined with me always is my bro host.
You know the tick of the click, Roscoe Tinkoya.
That is absolutely not right. But okay, sure, that works for now. And always with us is our technician, the boy Danny with a D, Rojas.
You know who it is, Chubby and America's hubby.
Okay, I'll let you have that. All right. No problem with that. Hey, have fun. And like always, we about to get this show started off with, yo, what's poppin'?
What be poppin'?
And we're going to let y'all know, because this is a part of the show where we go around talk about headlines from the world of pop culture and geekdom itself. Ross, go ahead and start us off. Wasn't there a little pay-per-view that popped off over this weekend?
There was more than one. There was two, actually. There was Bound for Glory on Saturday from Impact. Things to note from that, Bound for Glory is technically kind of like their SummerSlam of TNA. But Ken Shamrock got inducted into the Impact World Hall of Fame. So Mick Foley, The Rock, Charles Shonen, and a few others gave him inductions into the Hall of Fame. But that night, later on that night on Saturday, I would honestly say Rich Swann made his in-ring return and defeated Eric Young for the TNA championship. So Rich Swann's TNA champion yet again.
How long have they been doing the Impact Hall of Fame?
This years. Kurt Angle's in both.
I know, that's the question.
I literally...
About 2012?
Longer than that.
So like the early 2000s then?
Yeah, maybe late, well, now it will be early because it's like maybe 2008, if anything. They've been doing it for a minute, but hasn't been big or publicized like that. But past all that, Su Yung is now Impact Women's Champion. They announced that they're bringing back the Knockout Tag Team belts. The longest reigning Impact champions, the North, regained the title backs. And Moose and EC3 had probably had the best match of the night, which was a cinematic match where EC3 sacrificed himself to Moose to have Moose basically he fiended himself for Moose, and Moose is going to have more of his old figure with he's going to be more the aggressive Moose that we grew up watching. Well, we know from, but just using
first Moose.
Yeah, the first Moose, but just now going to actually be going for the titles and shit now.
Word. But
past that, we had Hell in a Cell where honestly, the start of the show's match and the mid-show match was 10 times better than the main event match, where Roman Reigns proved to us that the whole Samoan dynasty from that family are trained to be nothing but great wrestlers and actors because
it's in their blood. It's
in their blood. It's in their pedigree, and probably one of the best story matches. I would honestly say it might literally be match of the year, which, as I told y'all last time, where part one of the Usos versus Raymond match was gonna win it. This one topped that tenfold.
Word. Then what was the mid-card match?
Mid-card match was Bayley versus Sasha Banks for the women's belt, and for the women's SmackDown belt, which had a better story. It had the more long-going story for people that know. It had callbacks from their first match in Brooklyn where they actually got their names from. Also, behind the scenes stories was this was Bayley's first match in the Hell in a Cell. Sasha Banks third, but yet she's always lost in the Hell in a Cell match. So technically, her winning was her first win ever. But yeah, it was story wise and more setup reasons. This match kind of topped Roman and them in that aspects, but Roman and Usos really just like as just a contained story match. That's where it really hit at.
So is Sasha and Bayley gonna continue the feud, or they gonna put a pin in it and Bayley's gonna go on?
We
do something else,
do not know because
else.
until the Friday starts,
Word.
and also they can still continue the feud, but we already know that Survivor Series is next, so we're having the interbrand champions versus champions matches.
That's true, and it's Sasha versus Asuka.
It's gonna be Sasha versus Asuka yet again.
Word.
But your boy Randy Orton won his match against Drew McIntyre, and now is the 14-time WWE champion.
Yep.
That's about all the real big highlights to know about that that night.
Word. Any video game news?
So Daniel, how hyped were you for Cyberpunk on November?
Oh man, don't even talk to me about that.
Yeah, Cyberpunk has been delayed for a fourth time, y'all.
Fourth time.
Wait, this November or next November?
This November.
Oh, I still thought it wasn't coming out till next year anyway.
No,
but,
it's
yeah.
It was slated for earlier this year, and then when they pushed it back, we understood. And when they pushed
It's
it
like
back
the New
again,
Mutants of video games.
It was slated for February. They announced that they were pushing it back to March. Then announced they were pushing it to April. Then September, November, now December.
You know we're never getting that game, right?
Oh no, the thing is, they actually had an excuse this time. They really
There's always excuses.
They
it's about if you accept
they
it
have
or
to
not.
they wanted to test it out for all day one releases for all platforms. So they want to get all the bugs out and have it better for
And
that.
I appreciate that, but also, if you say your game's coming out at a certain time, maybe make sure it does.
Yeah.
You know what's even more hilarious about that too? The day before they even confirmed to somebody saying yes, it's coming out on November. In less than 24 hours, they had to be like, I'm sorry, guys, we're pushing it back 21 days.
Yes, because
See y'all December 10th.
an explanation is just an acceptable excuse. That's all it is. But word. All right. So moving off the video games, we're gonna get into more.
Y'all aren't going to talk about the Suicide Squad kills Justice League?
I've been talked about that. That's true.
Yeah, that's just a trailer.
No, the trailer's not old.
Yeah, it
What
is. I saw that months ago.
What?
Yeah, I
that
literally talked about it
How
here.
am I just seeing it?
I don't know. That's why I was confused. That's why I didn't really react to it. Like, bro, I've been seeing it, but I'm glad you finally saw it. It was part of what was it? DC Home Living shit.
Yeah.
It was part of that when they gave the Gotham Knights. Did you not see the
I saw
Gotham
the
Knights?
Gotham Knights, but that was the only one I saw.
Yeah, they gave
played
it.
it right. They played that right after the Gotham Knights.
Word, it's all good, baby. It's all good. At least you saw it. That's the only thing that matters. But I'm getting into like TV and movies right now. Woo! Borat.
Yeah, Borat
No,
2.
I know it came out. That's what I didn't know if I want to start there. But Borat 2 came out, but most impressively, it made more money in its debut week than Mulan did on the Disney Plus series.
Oh, people
site.
paid for it too? Ooh.
If you didn't have Prime, you had
Ooh,
to.
you had to. Ooh. I thought people would just wasted that free week trial for that Borat.
Nah, because Rudy Giuliani out there being a little Rudy dude.
And I'm being
Getting
honest,
fresh and fruity.
I watched it.
And tell the people what you thought.
It's hilarious. For people that says they want that cringeworthy Borat like the original, you gotta expect people already know who Borat is, so we're not gonna get that much of cringeworthy. But when it happens, and it's kind of great to see that there's certain moments where there's people also reacting to those cringe moments in real time, so you get to be like, all right, cool, there is decent people, and for it all to be in Texas, it's just like how all these people in Texas still get got, and
As someone who lived in Texas, I get it.
Word. And it's the too, but like you said, more people do know Borat is, but there's still people that don't because not everybody is in the pop culture. Like you said, the people in Texas, you can find that slice of people in the world that don't fuck with movies or anything like that.
I'm gonna be honest, when he did, I thought that QAnon joint, when he was living with them QAnons, was like only a few days, like 2 or 3 days. When I came to find out he was in character staying as Borat for 5 days straight for all that content, It made me realize those scenes way more hilarious. But I'm gonna be honest, greatest scene on there is the blood moon dance scene.
Yo. But yeah, because Rosso gave me his review. I was like, all right, I trust your opinion. You say that shit hilarious. I haven't watched it yet, but it's on my list.
Get high and watch it. Get drunk and watch it. You'll find the hilariousness to it.
My wife.
And I'm be honest, for those people that don't like the plot twist at the end, and y'all watch South Park, y'all are trash because y'all need to watch the South Park Pandemic special.
It was so good.
Oh, you finally watched it?
I watched it,
all right. We're going to talk about that off mic.
Yes.
That's a whole podcast in itself. But like I brought up Mulan, going back to, sticking with the House of Mouse, Moon Knight hasn't officially been cast. Now they're saying he's in talks to play Moon Knight, but if you pay attention to Hollywood reports, if somebody's in talk with Marvel, they're in there. And it's none other than Oscar Isaac himself, a.k.a. Poe, a.k.a. Ensar Nor. Yes, he played Apocalypse in X-Men Apocalypse movie. He's more than likely, by the time you're listening to this, will be officially cast as Moon Knight for the Disney Plus Moon Knight TV series. Moon Knight, some would say he's Marvel's Batman. I would say Marvel's Batman is Daredevil or Black Panther in a sense, but he's very similar to Batman. He's a vigilante, but he suffers from, I don't know if it's technically DID, but he has multiple personalities.
It is DID.
Okay, it's DID, and one personality is a playboy, philanthropist. Another personality is a mercenary. Another personality is just a cabbie. So it's gonna be interesting to see Moon Knight being brought not necessarily to the big screen, but to the small screen. But eventually, we know he's gonna be in the movies because Marvel's working on that whole type of synergy. And speaking of synergy, Power Rangers, one of my favorite IPs of all time. If you know me, you know this. They have actually got a writer for the new movie, but more importantly, they have their own Kevin Feige. I didn't write down that individual's name, but he's overseeing the film and a new TV series, and they would be cross-connected in a shared universe. But my question is, for all the current Ranger fans, does that mean the current universe of Power Rangers, not necessarily being erased because like Ninja Turtles, all variations of these people are connected through the multiverse, but does that mean we're going to get a brand new rebooted Power Ranger TV series moving forward now?
Well, I think they might just, we might still get them in this universe because, for a fun fact, me and Kelsey kind of fell off on this current version of Power Rangers.
Power Ranger Beast Morphers, a.k.a. the 4th season with a Red Ranger as the Black Ranger.
But
the Red Ranger is a black person. Let me correct myself.
And he a gamer. But just to make it even more fun, Daniel, who's one of your favorite villains of all time? Early Power Rangers.
Oh, the White Ranger, a.k.a. the Green Ranger, a.k.a.
Well, guess what? Godar came back, but he has been evolved into Godar Maximus. And it was so bad that on this new current episode that I have to watch, Dad Bod Jason had to come to the rescue and help out the team. And that's the only reason why I'm going to rewatch the episode with Godar becoming Godar Maximus, because that's reading the captions and that's all I actually got free recorded. And I think my Nickelodeon's On Demand only go to last week's anyway. But I started this week's episode only because IGN dropped that trailer, dropped that little sneak peek, and I saw Jason pop out of nowhere. I said, that ain't who I think it is. And I looked at it again. I was like,
oh, shit.
Oh, that's the Red Ranger's cone being flipped. And that's original.
Now,
that's Dad by Jason. That's the rest of the Rangers in nicely fresh suits. But yet we all know that regardless...
Oh, you lose the body.
You supposed to the morphin grid supposed to been dead for the original joint, but
subtracts 10 pounds. But now that's all been retconned.
But yeah, it's all been retconned to the fact that even
there's legacy morphers now.
Yeah, even to the fact that their Zordon has a spiritual connection to the power grid.
Okay.
And they can talk to other Rangers from other power grids throughout their communications.
Yeah, the morphin grid, it's like the Force.
Or
the Speed Force.
With the new cinematic universe and multiverse, do you think there's ever a chance that we'll get a new iteration of Ivan Ooze?
Yes.
Literally, we just got to upgrade a version.
I'm
of
surprised.
Madness.
Now that you bring that up, I'm surprised he hasn't debuted in the comic books.
Freaking,
yet.
they gave us at one point on a crossover. They gave us They gave us Lord Zed and Rita's son as a villain.
Loosely. I think that was him and I want to say the Forever Red.
I want to say it's the Forever Red crossover.
When they brought back all the Red Rangers, like damn near 10 years ago. Oh shit, that was about 10 years ago. But speaking of people in red, Teen Titans season 3. We are getting the Red Hood, and they debuted his costume this week. It looks fucking amazing, but I'm confused. Last time we left, Jason Todd was still alive. From the comic book, we all know how that happens. He's killed by the Joker. So now I'm like, are they going to give us a time skip and that happens? Or he's just going to be like, fuck Batman, and for some reason, now he has guns and he's the Red Hood. Which I hope they don't do, because that's pathetic.
I know
you didn't have to give us the Red Hood if you're going to do that. We already have Deathstroke. You could have found a way to respect the source material.
But what's low-key kind of sad and kind of crazy about that they might do the second option is because they were low-key just giving us Red Hood already off gates right in season 2 and setting up the plot for that too. And
it's different from the plot being set up to the execution.
But I think they might execute it a different way and might just have that whole mind thing really fuck with him so much that he's gonna go like, instead of saying fuck Bruce, I think he might say fuck Dick and get into the guns and shit. But I'm not 100%. That's what I would see them doing. That's what I would see them doing. But I'm not.
I can see that happening too. But it's still like, yo, why rush it? You don't have to do that. And
true.
Plus, Red Hood didn't pop up until we already had Tim Drake as well. Yeah. So there's a lot of leeway in there, but yet it's their own universe. They can do whatever they want. It's not like it's gonna stop me, but it's gonna be one of the other things that people that already hate the series gonna be like, see,
and that's
Black Starfire. I get that she Black Starfire, but you have to make a Black Starfire and this and that and the third. And
what's even more sad is they shit on minute things and not like the story plot.
Well, there's a lot of things wrong.
I haven't I know there's a lot of. I know there's a lot of things wrong, but like most of the people that usually are criticizing it, it's more of like the aesthetics and the things.
Yeah, and they weren't gonna like it anyway.
Yes. Yeah. Like, I know, like sneaker films. He says only reason. Yeah, there's small things that's like story wise that ain't continuity wise, but like he's cool with it, and it's just like those small minute things of him being in the film and trying to get a film major that makes him
and the editing things like that, but
it's the editing things for him that he's really more picky at compared to the story and whatnot.
I can understand that.
And then you have a series like Swamp Thing, which was phenomenal. But why can't you translate that dedication to detail and story and the characters to your other properties? But then again, different showrunners for different shows. And speaking of showrunners, your favorite Daniel Snyder. This Snyder cut is exploding with goodies.
Man.
Because speaking of Jason Todd, the Joker, not Joaquin, but the boy Jared Leto was on set for reshoot, so his Joker would be in the film, and have a lot of people theorizing we may get the scene of him killing the Robin, or at least alluded to him killing said Robin. That's why we saw the Jason Todd uniform in Justice League. But he would have some type of scene with Bruce in that, because, also Ben Affleck is back, reshoots. And, if you want to pronounce his name for me, Joe Michelangelo? Joe Millie Bobby Brown?
Joe Manganiello.
Thank you. He's back as Deathstroke. Earlier this week, he said, I was originally supposed to be in the movie, I don't know if I'm going to be back from the Snyder Cut, because people have loose lips. They kind of hint at some things. Then literally the next day, he's like, nah, I'm in the Snyder Cut. I'm about to go shoot film.
Maybe it's Manganiello.
Anywho, if you saw Justice League, he was Deathstroke at the end. Him and Lex had that moment. And guess who's not coming back? That boy Lex. Thank God, because like you said, he if you seen the film, you know he pops up at the end, and that's where he needs to be at the end of the movie. So it's gonna be interesting to see what these characters do in the film, because if you have Deathstroke, I'm pretty sure he's gonna be fighting Batman, and maybe that could lead into like the Joker hiring Deathstroke for some random ass reason, and then the Joker's like, yeah, it's all me, Bruce, blah blah blah, and it could also backdoor explain why he wasn't in Harley Quinn's movie. Maybe Batman and Deathstroke has something to do with it. I don't know. Only time will tell. Because also there are rumors as well that Ryan Reynolds might pop up as the Green Lantern, because in the original trailer for that, when Alfred was talking to an individual talking about we were waiting for you, originally it was supposed to be Hal Jordan or a variation of a Green Lantern, but then it got retconned into becoming Superman with the black suit, but then Josh came in and Josh weeded it up, so we didn't get any of that shit. So yeah, and speaking of Green Lanterns, the WB wants Michael B. Jordan to be Jon Stewart in the Green Lantern TV series, which I won't be mad at if you get it, but I don't want that to be my Jon Stewart. As Daniel says, Idris Elba. Or at least somebody older. I'll take Taye Diggs over Michael B. Jordan just because he's older and he has that sternness to him. I'm not saying Michael B. Jordan can't do that, but I see Michael B. Jordan still as a younger superhero, not that old Marine veteran like Jon Stewart normally. He's normally depicted as being in the comic books.
And fun fact, that $2 million budget for Justice League has now jumped to $7 million plus. They already at the $7 million.
Justice League can get a $7 million budget.
It was already.
I can't get a second stimulus check.
It was at a $2 million.
No.
It was at a two. It was at a 20.
Grows in trees.
Yes,
it was at a $20 million when it first was announced. Until like last week, it just been known that it's now at $7 million.
Because we're gonna do something right for the second time. You might as well get it right. And the more money they put in, the more they were gonna return. Because there's gonna be people that's gonna sign up for HBO for
the fact that it's a 4-part episode.
And far as we know, that shit might turn to 5 or 6 by the time we get there. And plus, like they said, they want to stitch it all together as one long as theatrical release, possibly in black and white. And you know what I will go see in the movie?
A black and white movie.
Especially if I already enjoyed what they gave me on HBO. But we'll get there eventually. And
we'll get there.
Yeah.
Crossroads.
Then I listened to Joe Rogan's podcast over the weekend when he had Kanye on.
How was that, beloved?
That shit got me where I needed to be. Because I'm not going to get all in depth about it, but my main thing when I say Kanye's my sensei, it's a joke, but also at the same time, I learn certain things from what he says, and I learn from what he does, and I learn what not to do by his actions. Because a smart man learns from his mistakes, a wise man learns from the mistakes of others. And I seen Kanye fuck up a lot, like we all have, and I learned from his mess ups. But also, me being an individual, I try to treat people the same, whether they're celebrity or not. I'ma listen to you if I fuck with you before, just to see if I understand where you're coming from, or to see if you're still on that bullshit. Kanye said a lot of shit that didn't make sense, and he said a lot of shit that does make sense. So I've been telling people, 2024 is gonna be wild, because he is saying a lot of things that would be helpful to people. And not only is he saying things, he actually are doing said things. So before you out there like, oh my God, whatever Kanye does, Kelsey's just gonna love it, blah, blah. No. Because if you had a conversation with me, the first thing I always say is like, I don't agree with any of that fuck shit. But when he's talking about the way he thinks so you can better understand him, I respect that, because I tell people all the time, if you listen to me and let me explain myself, I'm going to try to figure out it. I'm going to figure out a way to get my thoughts out to you so you can understand where I'm coming from, because I hate being misunderstood. Mm-hmm. So I don't jump down people's throat when they have different ideas than I do, because I want to understand where you're coming from. So respect me with that process. So for all those people out there talking about this, that, and the third, like, yo, he got some solutions. I don't agree with everything, because he's a Christian too. And a lot of that shit was like, God told him to do this, God told me to do that. All right, bro. If that's what God told you to do, cool. You ain't harming nobody. Everything you do is for the prosperity of all of us. thumbs up, because I'm all about helping everybody else out. I'm all about my fellow man. I'm all about the earth. So I can't be mad at anybody that's trying to do the same thing. Even though their source is somebody that's floating up in there, cool. But if you try to help poor people, try to help black people, you just trying to help people live better, I ain't gonna be mad at that shit. So you can't talk Kanye without talking about music. And there was a lot of music that came out over the last week. I'm going to just name a couple of songs that you can hear on YWDCA 10. Big Homie by Simba featuring 2 Chainz. Positions by Ariana Grande. That's a bop. She a little freak now. I see with that ponytail on top.
Stupid.
Backed by Jeezy and Yo Gotti. Little Bit by Nelly, my favorite country duo. Them boy Florida Georgia Line. Yee-hoo! Boy, they make that good old feel-good music. Some of y'all heard it like, oh my God. But yes, that song with Nelly, you listen to it, it's a bop, especially for all us old heads that already knew Nelly was on that country twang. You can't get mad at that shit and still like Nelly and Tim McGraw. And you know you like Cruise, and you know you love the Nelly remix, so don't be mad at it. Gucci Bucket Hat by Pap and Future.
Pap Chanel featuring Future.
Hell yeah. Love It by Kylie Minogue. And a track by Slater called Self Destruct. That shit hits.
Oh, you ain't gonna put out that Don't Hate by Rico and featuring Gucci Mane?
That's what you hear.
Okay. As well as Gorillaz album dropped this week, baby.
Yep. And I was about to mention that because as far as albums, I did listen to the Gorillaz album on the job here at Escape Velocity. That album came out. I really enjoyed that. Charlie Hanson dropped a little poppy rock album called Destroy, Destroy, Destroy. Love that. Black Star Kids dropped their debut album, I believe.
Yes, it was.
Called Whatever Man. And they are actually black kids that will be stars. They're a little indie rock group. How many members in it, Ross?
Just 2. It's just only 2. A boy and a girl.
Yeah. And they're black. I support all black artists as much as I can. And they make rock music. I love this shit. And they also have their own personal swag to it, which was dope. But my favorite album of the weekend has to be Ty Dolla $ign's album entitled featuring Ty Dolla $ign. And I didn't get it until after I was writing that or looking at the playlist today. I was like, oh, because all these songs featuring people, but Ty Dolla is normally the person featured on everybody else's song. So now it's like featuring. I get it. And it's a dope ass song. If you fuck with Ty Dolla, you definitely need to check it out.
And there's 2 more singles I forgot to talk about. G-Eazy featuring Blackberry, Hate the Way. Another G-Eazy crying song. But it's G-Eazy.
G-Eazy made Bay Area
I need
Drake
you back,
music.
Hazley.
He makes Bay Area Drake music. He's even giving the club bop, so he giving like, I'm rich, white, and in my feelings, and all the girls I love do cocaine.
And then Justin Bieber dropped a new single featuring Benny Blanco, Lonely.
Yeah, but
for your emo depressed kids,
he can't be lonely
it's a good
when
pop.
he found God again, and God fills all those voids. So I'm confused,
No,
Justin.
because he's being judged on his past still, and people won't judge him from his past.
He was singing nigger.
And he's like, yo, just because I was a wildin' little ass kid with little twists.
Yeah,
I'm an adult now. Please treat me as an adult and view me as an adult.
And that's why I never stopped fucking with Justin, because we are young, we all do dumb shit.
And people
Repent,
can't. And literally, that's
be better humans.
Literally, that's the whole song. Is like people are too busy judging me on my past, not my future, not my present, and it's put me into a box, which makes me by myself.
Exactly. That's why I tell people all the time, I'm not here to judge you. I'm gonna treat you with respect until you don't respect me. You did some fuck shit back then. If you changed and I see the change in you, cool. Or unless you are an actor, unless you Clayface and you got a whole new character, then you have me fooled. I've been fooled by a lot of women over these years. I thought you was cool, girl. Nah, you suck in a lot of things, and I ain't one of them. But hey, that's your mouth. Do what you want with it. And another album I listened to for the first time was Black Honey by Black Honey. They're not black honeys. They're white girls, and it makes my favorite type of rock music, indie California beach punk. And it's a bop. So with that being said,
real quick, what is it? Blackpink?
Blackpink, yeah.
I understand now.
Oh! Boy, welcome to the K-pop squad. It is K-pop culture month, baby.
I get it.
Yeah.
Now you know why the Koreans manufacture pop culture, baby, because it works when you
now
find
you need to
it.
watch the documentary on Netflix, and you need to go ahead and watch Agresco, because Agresco's last season dealt all about the K-pop scene in such a meta way that had me clutching my pearls. Like, ooh, they trying to kill bitches.
It had me dealing with my feelings because they were going through some personal stuff that I was going through at that time. I'm like, dang, why am I Agresco and Hada at the same time?
Ooh, I know, right? Like, why?
Like,
this girl in love with me. I know she vibing me. All I want somebody to vibe with, but this little panda walking by that I just can't help but get a sniff of. Like, ooh, she ain't here. Let me go look at her, cause she toxic, because she don't know what she wants, cause she a manic toxic dream girl.
I want to come into myself and I want to be confident, but there's so much insecurities being pushed on me, as well as the world. I don't know how to express myself, so I'm gonna just keep myself all bottled up. But now these people tell me I need to express myself because that's just greatness. So I don't know what the fuck to do with myself.
Go yazy. That's Kanye's new word for going crazy. Just go yazy on them. When people tell you you ain't you, be who you really are.
Oh, Agresco, I don't know what
Let nobody stop you from becoming the best you, because the best you ain't gonna make sense to nobody but you.
Yep, but we done with popping it out in these streets, y'all.
And now we are geeking out.
We
geeking out.
Geeking.
And we're gonna geek out about HBO's latest hit series.
It's winning Emmys.
None other than Lovecraft Country. Country.
Whew. Talk about good writing. And for those that read the book, yes, it's based off the book Lovecraft Country. The writer of the book technically wrote this book basically so he could have it produced as a TV show. And
Misha Green.
Yes.
Only reason I know that because it's just stuck in my head at the end of every episode. Plus, I kind of just Wikipedia the cast too. So now I'm aware of that. Misha Green, shout outs to you.
Yes.
Amazing, phenomenal job.
And I will say that there is maybe 1 or 2 changes from the books, but past that, like...
Do you know how many books in total?
Just one. This whole season is based off the whole book.
So season 2 is gonna be
completely new.
Ooh, cause I know what HBO did with Game of Thrones when it went.
But the thing is, they only wrote one book.
People, yeah.
They didn't have no.
Yeah.
And this was
they didn't have black people on that.
And the thing is, they haven't said if they're gonna do a season 2 yet.
That is true.
The writer says that they have stuff for season 2.
Word. All right. I can't even begin to explain the plot of this season because it's fucking everywhere.
It's an anthology of sci-fi horror shit.
But is it an anthology if it's episodic?
It's an episodic
because anthologies deal with like separate stories all together separately that come together, have a backdoor tie into each other.
Technically, technically it does though. If you really kind of look at it.
Well, where you come from, you're talking about like. The sci-fi horror aspects to each episode can be
anthology as well as.
But it's the complete narrative.
We're given the real main goal and the complete story in the episode 1. But past that, each episode is its own different theme that still ends up to the same goal.
It's like the MCU movies. You can have a heist movie, you have a black movie, you can have a period piece, you can have a space comedy, but they all connect to the one overall narrative. Yeah. So in that aspect, I see where you're coming when you want to compare it to an anthology series.
Yes.
Like, definitely, because that's one of my descriptions of the show. It's like they go everywhere from horror to sci-fi, time travel, sci-fi, futuristic parallel universe, ghosts, demons, ritual sacrifice, and historical facts. All into this fictional world.
That's the one great thing about this show is historical facts are all tied in through each episode. They're Easter eggs. If you don't get it, you're not going to get it. If you do get it, are you low? Like, literally, they're so subtle that you have to do, like, research to find out about them. Like,
or somebody got to tell you where the
eggs are. Tell you where the eggs are. Like, literally.
Nah, baby, underneath the bush, baby. It's right there, baby. That boy don't find these eggs, he gonna be bad in the morning. We gotta find these eggs. Look up I told you not to put them eggs in that tree. That boy can't see that high. He can't climb. Why them eggs in that tree? Y'all just want a problem.
That's one of my good things. That's one of my good things where I can honestly say thank you, YouTube, and thank you, Heavy Spoilers. It's a British YouTuber that does episode breakdowns.
Do they also do Fake Taxi?
No.
Okay, I about to say, 'cause that sound like some
heavy spoilers
heavy
on
spoiler.
you.
That
sound like it, but he on YouTube, not Pornhub.
Word.
And the great thing too about this British dude was he did his real research whenever he was talking about the historical facts and all that. So like he was really educating, and great Easter eggs throughout the show. Some being character based, some being historical facts, but it's in every episode. I can honestly say.
Word, and I guess if I would to summarize the overall plot of the series, it would be about a black man figuring out his family history at the crux of it, and how that just connects to every fucking thing in the world. And that black dude would be named Atticus, aka Tick, because Atticus is a mouthful, played by Jonathan Majors. If you've been listening to the podcast, you heard us mention that he's been cast as Kang the Conqueror in the MCU, and Kang is a major villain, just like he's a major role in the Lovecraft series because his last name is Major. That's the pun.
No, their last name Freeman.
No, I'm talking about that actor's name.
Oh.
Yeah, that was the pun I was going for. But yes, he's Atticus Freeman because they are free men even though they are still enslaved. They are still trapped in the system of racism in America. And then you also have Letty, played by Journey Smollett, aka Juicy Smollett's older. Yeah, she should be the older sister. Yeah, I think she's the older sister. I think there are at least 4 or 5 of them, but she's the most famous of the Smolletts because there was no other one before Empire with Juicy, and she plays Letty, the love interest, or one, I should say.
One of the love interests.
That's not a spoiler. One of his love interests in the show, Lady. And she's a strong character in the show, too. She does her own thing. And I respect her role in that shit. And it's just like, it's just crazy because you already listen to the show. You know we're going to be random and ridiculous with this shit. So we're going to be bouncing all over the place.
It's not only just a sci-fi movie, a sci-fi horror joint. It's also low-key a love joint that's subtly built into it.
And it's almost a historical period piece as well, because most of it, I want to say, takes place in the 60s.
It's in the
50s or 60s.
Check when Emmett Till died.
It takes place roughly in like the 50s and 60s. Because it's definitely not the 70s, because they weren't disco, but it's like...
It's a different image. It takes place literally in the year of Emmett Till's death.
And it also takes place...
It's the 50s.
Yeah,
so
it's
50s, it's based in the 50s.
And 60s. And it's like, you have that happen, but also there's a time travel aspect to it when they go back to the Tulsa riots or the burning of Black Wall Street as well.
Yes.
And so...
And I can honestly say that scene, that flashback scene, probably way more wilder than The Watchmen's Tulsa riot.
And once again, thank you HBO, and once again, thank you television for once again highlighting these atrocities that happen to Americans in America. Their whole community was burnt down just because they were different
and flourishing.
These white people felt superior.
They did not want to see other people flourish just like they were.
Because why do y'all get to do some shit that we can't do or not doing themselves? And even in that scene, like the father, Montrose, the father of Tick, he was just talking about when that happened, he was a child. Then he started naming all these prominent black figures that died that night. One of them being the best Negro surgeon in America, got shot in his face because he was black. People and their children, families were burnt alive in their homes. This shit happened and nobody knows about it. Oklahoma try to fucking erase it from the history books. People don't talk about that shit. You know why you don't talk about things? Because you want people to forget how nasty and gross and what type of monsters you were to allow that to happen. Because this doesn't happen willy-nilly. That shit was planned.
Yeah.
They had planes gassed up, ready to drop napalm on children. Babies, mothers, fathers, the elderly, the invalids, they didn't give a fuck. If you wasn't white, you was dying that night. And also, because we could spend this whole podcast just talking about that in general, but also what's also struck me as fascinating and like it just hit a chord, like when the white people was chasing this black woman down the street trying to shoot her and kill her, once again for being black people in the community, There was community. They're like, girl, get inside. And guess what? Everybody had a gun. There's a reason why the Second Amendment was really important, more important back then for Americans, because a lot of Americans were black and they had no other way to defend their homes or the communities than to shoot back at white people that try to take everything from them. But now that type of stigma has been downplayed for the African American community because it made us fearful of owning guns because even without a weapon, we are viewed as weapons. So what would it look like if you brandish a gun and somebody enters your home and you shoot them? Oh, wait, that happened to Breonna Taylor's boyfriend. He had the right to own a gun. They intruded in his home. He shot at them. Guess what? He went to jail. The NRA had nothing to say for that. Just like with Fernando Castillo got shut down by cops by complaining with cops. Yes, officer, I have a weapon. I'm registered. Let me get my license. Pow, pow, killed in front of him on Facebook Live in front of his girlfriend and his wife.
And
his wife and his baby daughter in the backseat. These are issues that happen then or happen today because certain people don't want to see the problem and certain people don't want to rectify and fix the problem.
And I will honestly say one of the greatest historical facts that I found out was I always knew Emmett Till's funeral was always an open casket because the mom always wanted people to see what happened. But I did not know that his funeral was on the hottest day in Chicago at that time. So the whole block, because it was so hot, they had to have the church open. People from all races and colors, but mostly the black community in Chicago, were all out preachers, Christians, the Mormons, Muslims, all of them were protesting on Emmett Till's death, and all of them had to just, thousands of people just be out there smelling a child who had got shot, hung by barbed wires, thrown in the river, and they had to witness all that.
Yeah, and another thing too, like you have all that historical facts on top of the magic, the religion, the time travel, the interdimensional travel. And it just makes it feel more real because you just learn more about this country too and the ugliness. But at the same time,
you start to understand more too, especially about how black generational trauma, it really affects every generation passed down.
Not just black people, but white people too. Because if we are fearful of you, we're going to keep you at arm's length. We're going to think you like that because a lot of your people hasn't shown us anything different. And then the thing too, when you learn something about sundown towns.
Oh my God.
Sundown towns, if you're not familiar, back in those days, basically if the sun went down and you were black on the road, you were dying. Yeah, the police or whoever was white had the right to kill you.
Question you and kill you without no ifs, ands, or buts. It was technically their civil duty to do that to you.
Yes, to quell the Negro problem. Hey, nigger, sundown, pow, you down. Point blank, period. Nasty shit like that okay.
And they would sometimes literally plot, if you knew you were in a sundown place, prolong your time period, and then alert other people, other officers, and or people that have a radio
counties,
to
be on the
lookout for you.
Ass. And that's the thing too. That's still not even a century ago. It happened in the 50s. This happened to some of our grandparents, our great grandparents, great uncles, great aunts. They lost their family members witnessing that. And then on the other side, there are people out there who family members committed these crimes, and that type of ideology, that type of thought process was passed down to their kids, and now some of these kids are police officers to this day, and they don't see a problem with it because that's just how things are, and that's just how they see us, because they have no other reason not to see us, because they are continually allowed to lynch and kill us legally with no ramifications of that. And for those people that may be listening to this now or just hear this out and about in the world and be like, oh my, why we gotta keep talking about this? Why do you think like? Because they are. And until they're not, we have to talk about them. Yes, things aren't like that. Things are not like that now, but it's still not perfect. So until that day comes, we have to remind ourselves of what happened. We have to remind ourselves to be better people, and we have to listen to each other. So when me being me, so when a white person's like, "Oh, that doesn't make sense," I was like, "Okay, it doesn't make sense to you, but these are my feelings. These are my experiences. You just have to make sure you don't continue to say things like you're saying from your mouth, and recognize the problem and talk to other people like you, because we've been saying this shit since we got off them ships. I guess we've been saying this shit since we learned the English language, because we weren't allowed to speak English. But that's why we still having these problems, because people aren't willing to fix themselves and their surrounding community.
And things that people keep almost like, why do we have to keep learning things and all this and that, or why is all this in there? All I have is a few things to ask y'all. Does our history books tell us about the one and only Air Force group that went into World War II and lost nobody? No. Why? Because they were a black army group, and they don't want to respect those people like that. If you want to hear about that history, you got literally most black history among black people are learned from their parents, because generational trauma, generational wealth, all that, generational knowledge, because they're not educating us about this in school. Yes, y'all, Black History Month, this, that, and the third, but all we learn is about Ben Franklin, all this and that, and whatever. I've literally...
Not Ben Franklin, but did you mean Uncle Ben?
Well, Uncle Ben and all
George
that.
Washington Carver, Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Rosa Parks.
Someone once said, we know the names of the ships that Columbus sailed on more than the land and the people who were brought in other ships.
Exactly.
This is, like, literally to the fact that I saw some Generation Z kids try to bash Joe Biden for saying that electricity was created by a black man, only for me to have to post up to that and reply to somebody and be like, Biden was right.
Yeah, it was.
Like, it was created by a black...
Before Edison...
The light bulb was on... The little only cover of the light bulb was created by Edison. Past that, everything else was created by the black man.
And then you had Tesla that they want to conform to their way of thinking, so they dragged his shit, smeared his whole name. And that's a whole nother conversation, too, about America. Like, it's real nasty out here. And we know that. You choose to see it or not, but that's one of the main threads of this series was, like Ross said, lineage, family trauma, and connectivity between generations. Because even with Montrose, which was Atticus' dad, he was on the down low. He was a gay man. But he didn't want that to be known, especially in the 50s. Let alone you get killed for being black, period. You whistle at a white girl, wink at a white woman, say anything with a white person, they don't like it. They could literally kill you in the streets and be fine. So not alone that, he didn't want to be his father called him a nigger, F word. I'm not going to say that, but he called him that as a kid. So he had to suppress who he was. So he had to hold back his true self. So when he had a son, he would beat the shit out of his son, more or less because he was just upset with himself and he didn't want his son to be soft, quote unquote, like he was. Now his son grows up to resent his father because he thought his father didn't love him. Now his father just hated who he was, so he took it out on his son. So it creates all these dilemmas and these problems, which still going on today. Yes, it's easier to be openly gay right now, but like I said with anything, it always gets better, but it's not perfect. And even to this day, a lot of black people, especially black men, feel like they can't be their true selves because we know how society treats people. It's like being an outsider within an outsider community, like the outcast of the outcast. That's why some people still out there like, no, gay is a choice. I don't think most black gay people want to be black and gay. Maybe some do, maybe some don't. But I don't think that's a choice. That's me. I have gay family members. Ain't no choice about that shit. When they came out the womb, they was like, that shit, you know how I know? Because I was around them all my life. So when they told me, I was like, yeah, I know. You didn't have to tell me. I got eyes. It's all good, baby. They don't change shit.
It's like when my mom found out about, how I am,
That you're Peter Pan?
She asked, is there anything I could have done differently? And my sister had to tell her, he's always been this way.
Yeah, just like in X2, when Bobby's mom was like, have you tried not being a mutant?
Yeah.
What? Like, no.
My mom was like,
double scoop of oppression?
Could I have changed any parenting ways? And my sister had to be like, this is still Daniel.
Yeah, it's DNA.
Full through. How did you not pick up on this?
For real, it's like there's different layers to that shit. And then like another one aspect of the show, it's not a spoiler because it happens in the show. There's a magic that allows a black woman to go into the skin of a white woman, and that whole episode is one of my top 3 favorite episodes of the series. Now she gets to be an insider into that world and hear what they really have to think about the Negroes, and just hearing that and seeing that's like, word, it happens, and that's the problem. It's not the conversations we have outside, it's the conversations that we have inside our homes. Because like I always say, we don't get taught to hate each other in school. We learn that in the community, from family members, from other people outside of that. And I always say too, when the whites are alone, y'all talk about the browns and the gays and whatever, everything that's not y'all very differently than we do out in public. So when those
things that make it sad is that you just bypass it as banter because you grew up to hearing it like that.
But those conversations need to be quelled. Yes, behind the closed door, you need to start having those conversations because that's how we create a better society.
And that's how if you so tired of hearing people of other cultures and things, want them to stop talking about their plight, stand up for their plight when you hear their plight being talked about against other people.
Exactly,
because if you just sit there in silence, you're just literally agreeing to what's going on and you're just not giving a fuck. Like,
you can't play both sides.
It's never too fun because it's great when I'm be honest, as a black man, it's great. I've experienced this multiple times when you have friends of other colors, mostly white, end up getting mad and pissed off about an argument or a conversation with somebody else white about some other ish. I can honestly say it brings joy to me because I know at least I'm like, these are the friends that I entrust and be around that know that, yes, I have a plight. Yes, I'm a person. Yes, this shit is not right, but they know that it's not right in this world and people should stand up for shit that's not right.
Exactly. And the thing too is like, white people, if you want to know what black people think about you, watch anything with black people on TV. We always talk about white people. We don't do it maliciously. We just say what it is because this is our experience from the outside looking in. But we do not know what white people really think about everybody else via TV or movies because they don't have those real conversations unless the TV episode or the movie is specifically talking about racism to that degree. Right. But then you don't talk about how common it is in your household or your family that they say off the cuff shit. If there's not specifically a black person in the show. Like back in the day, you had All in the Family with Archie Bunker, and it was a shtick. Roseanne kind of played around with that, but we know these things happen because that's why we still having these issues. I could go into a whole nother tangent about mass shooting and school shootings because the people that training them little kids, how do they think? They teach them in white supremacist groups. That's why white supremacists are dangerous because they teach other white people that they are supreme and anybody not like them should be dead, and they kill everybody too.
Dead or subservient.
That too. And
because they don't know how to see.
Oh yeah, and we spend a lot of time talking about the black culture of the show, even though it is still a black show. But
there is subtle things like they still like. Yes, it's still the 50s, so yes, only people that could actually withhold magic is the white man. So they have that little talk. Like even if you a white woman, they don't respect you enough to have magic. So like it's like a inner circle white man thing.
Where maybe my favorite episode, but it's in my top 3, would be the episode when we do a flashback to Tick in the Vietnam conflict.
The Vietnam War, because we know that
quote unquote conflict.
Yeah, we know that Tick had went there and
he fell in love with a Korean woman, and come to find out she's a Kumiho, which is the Korean version of the nine-tailed fox spirits from Chinese and Japanese lore, played by Jamie Kung, the second most successful member of the Real World alumni, number 1 being Miz from WWE.
Yep.
But, I fucks with my Asian culture, and it also reminded me of the episode of Love, Death, and Robots when they had the same, basically the same premise.
The same premise, but
and it worked.
With robot.
And it brought up so much stuff about what makes you, does a soul not make you a human? Are we the monsters, or can we be more than a monster to a fellow monster? And that whole episode was fucking amazing. This whole series is amazing.
I would honestly say my favorite episode would be episode 3, which would be the housewarming party, where it's another historical fact of us finding out, them playing on the fact of, black people moving into a white neighborhood and how whites felt that when blacks moved in, it was going to lower property values, and the tactics that whites did back at that time period to try to drag people out. And they also mentioned as one of the Easter eggs about how an interracial couple ended up dying because a white woman ended up buying a house property and for her and her husband. And when her husband moved in, they found out that he was black, went to an uproar and killed both of them.
Yes. So, to wrap this all up, Lovecraft Country is a must-watch. Honestly, like I said, a lot of shit happens, so I watch every episode, and I still can't really tell you what the fuck was going on. Just like Altered Carbon on Netflix. I seen everything, but if you ask me, what was this, what was that, who that, I'm like, nigga, I don't know, it's just good.
There's only I can honestly say there's only 2 scenes I probably ain't seen and gotta rewatch, and that's literally the last episode shit.
And that's gonna bring we can get out to the end before we leave. We gotta hit you with our recommendations. So, check it out. Check it out. What do you want people to check out if they're fans of Lovecraft Country, Ross?
Honestly, any black sci-fi horror movie. Nigga, you act like there's a plethora. I can't think of. There ain't a plethora.
Anything with Jordan Peele, I guess, because he is executive producer on this. So is J.J. Abrams.
Yes, sir.
For me, I would recommend this movie called Fast Colors. It's about 3 generations of black women that have special abilities. It's on Hulu. It's more of an indie film, and indie films are my fucking jam. My whole life's an indie movie, but I'm not going to get into that right now. Join me on my new spinoff podcast called Kelsey Talks About Kelsey, which will
Return of Emotives.
What? Really? Does people want to hear you yapper and japper more than
it's
2 times on
it's
fucking
Kelsey
2 shows?
talks to Kels, and I will talk to myself in different personalities and voices.
That's appropriation, and I don't stand for it.
Hey, guess what? Yeah. It's my life.
Catch me on my new podcast when Roscoe's gonna speak. I'm just kidding.
That is a podcast full of silence. Wait, I gotta write that. Anything Jordan Peele. But no, for real, if you watch Lovecraft, I already know you saw Get Out. Make sure you watch Us. Yes. Us is more like Lovecraft than I would say Get Out was, but then again, that's neither here nor there. So yeah, that's gonna bring this episode to an end, guys. Thank you so much for sitting through that yet again and being a capture nerd. We love you guys. We respect you guys, and we want to hear from you guys. We are officially on YouTube now at the THE Escaping Network. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, you like the videos, you hit the notification, all that YouTuber podcast shit talk they be saying. Share the video, tell everybody, support us.
Shit talk that
and that's all we ask. That's all we ask. We don't ask a lot. We just ask for something. All right, guys. So yeah. So this has been another episode of Where the Captions at? I'm yours truly, always, Kels for show.
And I'm yours truly, Roscoe Tinkoya.
And as always, guys, be one or be nothing.
Be kind, y'all. Have a great, blessed day, and thank y'all for listening to us.
The magic's in your heart, baby.
This son bitch.